Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bantamweight Boxing YouTube channel with me, Michael Waite, and I'm back talking about AJ versus Fury. I thought I was going to make this video later on in the week and I thought it was going to be sad news. I thought it was going to be a repeat of all the other negotiations where there's all talk on Twitter and then it comes down to signing contracts and it all goes to pieces. But it looks like the fight is going to happen between AJ and Fury. It's come out today that a load of negotiations have been agreed. There's just a few more bits that they need to iron out between the two camps. I think it's mainly concerning the TV rights, which is obviously going to be a massive factor. But I think they're agreeing that they're going to show the fight on both BT and the Zone, so it should satisfy both kind of promoters. But the venue's been agreed. It looks like it's going to be Principality in Cardiff. What a cracking venue. I went to university in Cardiff actually, saw a load of rugby games at the Principality. Wicked stadium, always good atmosphere. AJ's had a few fights there now. I think he fought Parker there, I believe, and maybe some others, but wicked atmosphere there. Ideally, I would have preferred Wembley, but I will take anything in the UK. Take my money. So we've got the venue, Principality. The date, it looks like it's set for December the 3rd. So there's a few dates that Fury gave, and I think realistically December time was the only realistic option for AJ, having time to recover from Usyk and then get back into the camp. So venue, date, and also the split has been agreed, a 60-40 split in favour of Tyson Fury. A little bit of talk about whether that's a favourable, like who benefits more out of that split. Does AJ deserve such a high split now that he doesn't really bring much to the table? He's doesn't have a belt anymore or anything like that. Fury's the one with the WBC. He could ignore AJ, go on and fight Usyk. But I think 60-40 is fair. What AJ brings to the table is not belt, but name. He is one of the biggest names in boxing. And for a big event, like a super fight like that, it takes two to tango. And AJ's no Dillian White. He's a better fighter and he's a bigger name. So I think 60-40 is an absolute fair split. And they've also said there will be a rematch clause, and the rematch, if AJ wins, there's a rematch. I think either way, I think they'll probably do a rematch just for the numbers it will bring in, as long as AJ puts in a good performance. But if there is a rematch and AJ wins the first fight, it will be a 50-50 split. So, seems very amicable, very smart dealings on both sides. Looks like they both really want the fight to happen. There was obviously the negotiations going on about a week ago, but then it all went silent after Your Majesty the Queen passed away, sadly. And out of respect, both of them kind of ended negotiations. And I thought that might be it. It went silent, but now they've come back out this week. Frank Warren said on Twitter, the contract is going out. You just need to sign it. So fingers crossed now it is going to happen. But, we're seeing with Conor Benn, Chris Eubank, you don't know if the fight's going ahead until that night. So there's quite a few more hurdles to get over. But this negotiation between the two seems and feels very different to some of the other ones. A lot of the others there was just talk over Twitter. There was just clips, rants and all of that. But this is actual contract negotiations. And it's kind of, it's interesting to see the new age of boxing where contract negotiations are actually all done in the public eye. It's all over Twitter. Everything is building that fight. Everything is built around bringing eyes to the fight. So it's exciting to see, but it looks like this fight is going to go ahead. Now, the question remains here, is it the right move for AJ? Is AJ, is this is obviously a career-defining fight, but is AJ throwing away his legacy or throwing away his career taking this fight? I've seen a few people ask that kind of question. And obviously, there's kind of general consensus now that Fury will win this fight. I think most boxing fans, most people in general would favour Tyson Fury quite heavily in this fight, as opposed to if they had fought maybe 2 years ago. It's a bit more 50-50. So considering that AJ is such an underdog, is he making a big mistake taking this fight? Now, there's a lot of factors you've got to consider. AJ's made a lot of money in his career, right? Probably one of the richest boxers, of his generation. And he's achieved the highest heights. He's held most of the belts. been at the top of the game for a while. There's not much more for him to do apart from kind of make money in the sport. So in that sense, he could cash out after, if he got battered by Fury, he could take the money and leave the sport. And, he's had a good career, been a world champion twice, fought the best of the best. No one can say anything against him. They may not say he was the best of our generation, but he did everything he set out to. He fought the best of the best and gave it a good run, and was a really entertaining guy, fighter to watch. He was one of the best we saw of his generation. But so in that sense, what's there to lose for AJ taking this fight? He's got a chance now of throwing himself straight back into the mix, straight back against one of the top heavyweights, and as an opportunity to win the WBC belt. And if he loses, he loses. He gets a lot of money, maybe walks away from the sport, maybe has some other fights. There's still going to be fighters there for him. The caveat to that is AJ's just lost 2 fights in a row. His confidence is kaput. His head seems to be all over the place after that rant. After the Usyk fight, it was very emotional. And then you're coming up against someone like Fury, who's going to mess with your head. Like you saw what he did to Wilder, completely, ruin Wilder psychologically. It's taken him a long time to get back into the ring and get back into the right mindset. So there's the risk there. Is it, obviously Eddie Hearn was very keen for him to take some smaller fights, get some knockouts, get the confidence back up, and then take the Fury fight. But I rate this from AJ. I rate this kind of, fuck it attitude, really, of I'm just going to go for it. I want to fight the best. This is an opportunity to, get back on top, win the WBC belt, and I'm going to go for it. But I think for Fury, he's got a cracking deal here, because you're fighting AJ at possibly the best opportunity, because, AJ's just gone through 2 wars with Usyk. So mentally and physically, he's not at his best. And then he's coming into this fight, AJ's coming into this fight with a lack of confidence. Fury, absolutely soaring. And has got an opportunity to, again, like AJ, make a lot of money, but most likely retain his belt and then go on to fight Usyk. So I think it's a very smart move from Tyson Fury if he can get this fight done. But, there's a lot of you can't be negative about this fight for either of them. It's a massive payday, and for the fans, it's exactly what we want to see. It's a super fight. No matter what you say, it could have been bigger maybe a couple of years ago, but right now it is still, in the UK, the biggest fight that could happen, and still on the global, sphere, you've got Canelo Triple G's a bigger deal maybe, but this is still one of the best fights in boxing we can make right now. So fingers crossed this goes ahead. Best of luck to AJ. I wanted to put up a good show, and hopefully we could get a bit of a trilogy going, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Let me know your thoughts. Is this the right move for AJ taking the fight? I think it is. Go for it. There will be other fights there for him. Even if he loses to Tyson Fury, there's no shame in that. The Dillian White fight will still be there. He can still knock out some other tomato cans. That's never going to end for him. But we will see. But thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe, and good night.